A couple of weeks later, Thanael shared a table with Zuldin in Solyana's Refuge, Duros snoring at their feet. The Wardog did not leave the Dark Elf's side for any extended period of time, and while it took Thanael some time to get used to his new companion, he soon felt himself missing the big furball when he was not around. "Your sword," Zuldin suddenly said. Thanael blinked at him in confusion. "Give me your sword," the gnome repeated, looking at the Dark Elf expectantly. Thanael felt conflicted. He had known the gnome for quite a while now, but to hand him his father's sword? A few seconds of tense silence later, he took the blade and put it on the table in front of him, shoving it over to Zuldin, who took it eagerly with his large grey hands. Gnomes were earthen spirits the color of mud and rock, and Zuldin leaned more into the realm of stone. Thanael watched him curiously and warily. The gnome pulled a roll of black, rough cloth out of his satchel, putting it onto the table next to the damaged sword. He went to work immediately, wrapping the grip of the weapon with carefully measured movements. "I can't repair the blade for you," he said, "but maybe this is a start." He finished his work and shoved the sword back over to Thanael. The Dark Elf brushed over the grip with his hand. The wraps were tight and fast. He took the sword and swung it carefully beside the table, eyeing the gnome as he did so. He no longer felt the charred blank metal underneath. This felt good. "I thank you," Thanael said, and inclined his head slowly and deferentially. "Bah, it's nothing," Zuldin said gruffly, hand-waving the display of emotion. "Let's have another drink. Oi, Melina!" "Coming," the elf replied, winking at her short friend. After she had served the round, Fondir joined the two companions. It seemed as if something was on his mind, for his brow furrowed in concentration. "I have another heist planned," he began, and his eyes glinted excitedly, a big one. "You need us?" Thanael asked, ready to step up. "Well, not for the heist," Fondir said somewhat mysteriously. "I need some expert thieves for that, but they need a clear path." The Dark Elf and Zuldin were intrigued, and they listened closely. Even Duros had woken up, raised his head, and cocked his ears. "We will go through the sewers," the half-elf said. "It is quite the long path beneath the city, and we have not used that one before. It may contain dangers." "Which you want us to clear out," Zuldin added grumpily, not sounding very thrilled. "That's some messy work." "It may very well be," Fondir admitted, "but I am sure you can handle it. Thanael knows how to use his sword, and he seems to be an expert with his bow. And you," he pointed at Zuldin, "can hold your own with your crossbow quite well too." The gnome wasn't sure he was up for the task. He wasn't much of a fighter after all. "Logrim!" Fondir exclaimed to the burly warrior who sat a couple of tables away. "Can you bring it?" The large man stood up, nodded and went towards the back room of Solyana's Refuge. Thanael and Zuldin looked at the half-elf, a questioning look in their eyes. Soon after, Logrim returned and stood by their table. He turned towards Zuldin. "I made this for you," he said in a friendly tone, and held up a fine suit of mail made from tan leather, small enough for the gnome. "It will protect you down the sewers." Zuldin wasn't sure what to say, but he stood up and took the generous gift with a rare expression of joy on his face. While he was more interested in gemstones and mechanical apparatuses, he could appreciate good craftsmanship whatever the province. "Thank you, Logrim," he said, looking up at the big man with a smile. Logrim smiled back, laid a hand on the gnome's shoulder, and went back to his table. "When do we start?" the Dark Elf asked. "Not yet," Fondir replied. "I don't expect a big challenge for you down there, but better to err on the side of caution. There is a small temple dedicated to the goddess Ereshka near the harbor. I would like you to go there tomorrow and buy a couple of healing potions." The half-elf put a small coin purse on the table. "This should be enough." Thanael grabbed the purse and nodded. "When you have the potions, come back to the guild," Fondir said. "It's best to do this during the day. While the sewers are somewhat insulated from the rest of Taelurien, the sounds of battle would ring out more clearly at night." Zuldin and Thanael exchanged glances. This sounded exciting after all, and they both were looking forward to the challenge. As if he knew and wanted to join in, Duros barked, and the group laughed merrily. The next morning, Thanael made his way to the temple alone, leaving the dog in Melina's good care. Zuldin was at his workshop this time of day, crafting devices for the Blackthorn. By afternoon, when his gnome friend would arrive at Solyana's Refuge, the Dark Elf would be long back, potions at the ready. Thanael proceeded through the bustling harbor of Taelurien, looking around according to Fondir's description of the place. Finally, he found the temple he was looking for, a small building nestled between two larger ones. A small plaque above a door framed by two single columns of stone displayed an image of a slim goddess with outstretched arms and stylized waves rising from her feet. As he entered, he was greeted by a young priestess in nondescript robes, her dark blonde hair falling in soft waves around her shoulders. "Welcome to the Temple of Ereshka," she said evenly. "What is it that you seek?" Thanael looked around inside the temple. The walls were adorned with intricate carvings and tapestries depicting scenes of the perilous sea and unknown sea monsters he had never seen before. The young priestess noticed the dark elf's wonder at his surroundings and cast him a thin smile. "You are new to the teachings of Ereshka?" she asked somewhat shyly. Thanael nodded, still enraptured by the strangeness of this place. "Our mistress is the Lady of the Sea," the young acolyte began. "The sailors pray to her for guidance and mercy when traversing the high seas." "Mercy?" Thanael replied with his characteristic accent, wondering what this goddess represented exactly. "Ereshka is known to be capricious," the priestess continued. "Some consider her evil, though we believe she's more chaotic, really. Sailors do well to placate her, but she can also be kind and benign. Water is life, is it not?" Salt water isn't, Thanael thought, but he also remembered why he had come here. "Do you sell healing potions?" he asked bluntly. The young priestess was taken aback for a moment, but quickly adjusted. "Indeed we do," she replied, inclining her head in a brief nod. Thanael pulled out the purse Fondir had given him and handed it over to her. "I was told this is enough to pay for 2 potions," he said. The priestess opened the purse, counted the silver coins inside. "It is," she stated, nodding. "Please wait here." Thanael looked around some more, walking up to a mural at the side of the temple. It depicted a ship in a storm, capsized by a monster with many tentacles reaching out of the waters. This goddess seemed powerful and also somewhat violent, not unlike the Dark Elven way, he thought to himself. The Dark Elves had left all gods behind. According to their teachings, they had been seduced by Urgoth many hundreds of years ago, and the Elder God of Darkness had failed to protect them from the wrath of the other divines. They were driven into the depths of the earth, forever banished from the light of the sun. When Urgoth returned and sought to conquer the world to rule alone a second time, only a few Dark Elves had joined him in his crusade and eventual defeat. Most had remained underground in the Nightlands, busy with their own designs. They did not need any gods. The Dark Elves were constantly fighting amongst themselves to find the strongest, the one most worthy to lead. It was prophesied that one day they would find a warrior so powerful that he could unite the cities and rise to the surface to rule the world, a true god of the Dark Elves. That was the Dark Elven way, and Thanael had embraced these teachings, developing his own skills through exercise and meditation. "There you go," the young acolyte said, having walked up to him. Thanael turned away from the mural and towards the priestess. She held up 2 translucent flasks with golden stoppers containing a strange blue-green liquid which reminded the Dark Elf of seawater. He took the flasks and put them in the satchel he wore at his side. "Thank you," he said. The priestess nodded. "Come back any time." Thanael looked around a last time, taking in the interior of the temple, then he left. Back outside, he was greeted by the Dionysus harbor, the humans and orcs working the docks, the black-clad guards stationed everywhere and keeping an eye on the scene, the smell of the sea and the sounds of ship sails flapping in the breeze. It was all quite loud compared to the stillness of the temple, and for a moment he remembered the busy markets of Taloen. He still had a task to fulfill. But for now, he was content with being patient. His time would come. The longer he was here, the more likely it was that he learned what he needed to learn. With renewed intent, he made his way back towards Solyana's refuge. Zuldin arrived at the inn in the afternoon. It was quite cold outside, and a few snowflakes fell out of a grey sky, occasionally sent dancing by sudden gales of wind. As he opened the door, the welcoming warmth enveloped him and signaled that he was home. Thanael was sitting at a table with Fondir playing cards. Duros had rolled up in front of the fireplace. No one else was around, although the gnome heard someone rummaging about in the back rooms. Zuldin grunted a greeting, not indicating the joy he felt that he was back with his friends rather than the shady elements of the Blackthorn. A moment later, Melina emerged from the back, wearing a tight black wizard's robe. "You coming with us?" Zuldin exclaimed in surprise. "Indeed I will," Melina replied with a cordial smile, showing off her adventuring garb. "What do you think?" "No, it will do, I guess," the gnome grumbled, not taking his eyes off the beautiful robe. Melina laughed. "I thought you could use some help down there," Fondir said, not looking up from his cards. "Melina's skills could come in handy if you run into any unexpected troubles." Zuldin nodded and waited for the guildmaster and the Dark Elf to finish their game. He stretched a little within his brand new leather mail. While it was quite soft and fit the gnome perfectly, he was not accustomed to wearing armor at all. Still, the novelty of it was exciting, and he was now looking forward to this adventure despite its foulness. A short while later, Thanael stood up and joined his small friend. "You got the potions?" Zuldin asked. Thanael tapped on the satchel which he had fastened to his belt on one side. The gnome nodded. "Okay, let's go then," he said. As if he had understood perfectly, Duros jumped up from his cozy resting place at the fire and trotted over to them, wagging his short tail. "Follow me," Fondir said, heading towards the back rooms, and the others fell in behind. They went into the kitchen, then into the adjoining storage room where wooden shelves were neatly lined up, filled with goods of all kinds. Fondir walked up to the rear corner and, putting all his weight into the effort, pulled on one of the shelves. A part of the wall behind the shelf swung open with it, revealing a stone stairway leading down into the darkness. A concealed door, Zuldin thought. How interesting. Here, take this. Fondir pulled a torch from a nearby shelf, as well as flint and steel, handing them to Melina. The sorceress lit the torch, and Fondir went up ahead. When you return, just push against the wall, he said as they descended the steps, pointing back at the concealed door. And don't forget to close it again. The cozy inn faded away behind them, replaced by the damp, musty tunnels of the sewer system. The stairway ended at a grated door. Fondir pulled a heavy iron key out of his pocket and unlocked it, then motioned for Thanael to take the key. The dark elf grabbed it and looked at his guildmaster questioningly. Lock it once you're through, Fondir instructed him. I wish you good luck, and see you soon. After the half-elf had left, the 4 companions stepped out into the sewers. Thanael did as asked, locking the grated door behind them. Everyone ready? He asked, taking his bow off his shoulder. Duros let out a brief bark, the others nodded, and with only their torch to light the way, they set off into the murky shadows.